Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys my final free hit draft. Now, I received a lot of questions after the Game Week 1 deadline whether I'm still on a free hit. The answer is most definitely yes. It is already activated, and I even brought in Semenyo early because I knew he was going to price rise on Sunday. So basically, what I've already done is transferred Semenyo into my team so that I wouldn't be priced an extra 0.1 out of him. And overall, some of the picks that you'll see here in today's video is also quite different from the earlier draft, because obviously after the Game Week 1 games, I've tweaked the team a little bit, made some changes here and there, and I'll go through all the players with you guys and the reasons why I've done so. If you enjoyed today's video, please do drop a like, please do subscribe as well. And just a bit of housekeeping before we talk about the team, you'll realize that the graphic on today's video is very similar to that of the videos of old, where I had a static graphic like what you see here on screen and I just yapped away. And you'll also realize that the newer format of videos, which is a more interactive screen where I share a bit of stats and also some graphs, that will still stay. I've decided that I'll keep both of these formats and combine it into all the videos moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoy this bit of a change. I've listened to all the feedback that you guys had for me, so thank you for all of that. And let me know, starting from today's video, what you think of this new format where there will be static graphics like what you see here, and also the interactive portion towards the middle of today's video. So hope you guys enjoy it, and let's jump into the free hit draft. Now, what you'll see here is Sanchez in goal as well as Cucurella in defense. So I've opted to go for double Chelsea defense. Now, during the interactive segment, you will realize the reasons why I've chosen to go for all these picks. So I'll contextualize the reasons, but just talking about the players first. I also have Munoz in goal, Munoz in defense, Nottingham Forest at home for him. And then there's Gabriel, Saka, and Gyökeres as my Arsenal triple up. And then in midfield, there's Semenyo, who I've already brought in, did very well in Game Week 1. Now in Game Week 2, plays Wolves at home. Fully expect him to do well again. Rodgers against Brentford away. I think Aston Villa will bounce back, and Brentford away is a good fixture for him. Gives me a bit of coverage as well, because you see I don't have Watkins up front from Aston Villa. And then there's an enabler in Reinders here, arguably one of the best, currently at 5.6 now, risen 0.1 in price. And then up front it's Evan Nielsen, Haaland captain, and Gyökeres. Evan Nielsen completing the Bournemouth double up for me, Haaland against Tottenham as my captain, and Gyökeres as my third Arsenal asset. On the bench is Dubravka against Sunderland. I also have Anderson 5.5 against Crystal Palace away. And then there's Dorgu against Fulham and Esteve against Sunderland. So quite a bit of changes. And let's now take a look at some information that I gathered from Twitter, from all the creators on there. Share it with you guys and contextualize the reasons why I've chosen to go for some of these picks. So the first thing that I want to share today is that basically Kai Havertz is reported to be out for quite a while with a knee injury that he picked up in training. Now this is from David Ornstein, so very reliable, and he says Arsenal forward Kai Havertz set for a spell out with knee injury. Assessments on the 26-year-old German international at early stage, so prognosis and duration is unclear. But Arsenal is actively exploring the transfer market for a signing to strengthen the attack and provide cover. So basically what this tells me is that Kai Havertz is not an option for Arsenal. Now, hopefully he gets well soon. But basically, what does it mean for Gyökeres, who shared minutes with Kai Havertz in Game Week 1? Because you saw that Gyökeres got substituted out in the 60th minute for Kai Havertz against Manchester United. Now that will change. I think this is good for Gyökeres minutes, at least until a new striker is signed. Now it's not as if they don't have other options that can play up front. Trossard is also a decent option that they can play as a false nine. Further to that as well, Mikel Merino is also someone who can play in that role. So I think we might see Gyökeres, I think, come off still a little bit earlier because he's building up fitness. So maybe he comes off at about, 70th, 80th minute. But I think overall, it does look good, at least for the Leeds game now, where I think he'll get a bit more minutes than he did in Game Week 1. Now, aside from that as well, another thing on Gyökeres, and this is from FPL Cal. So he has basically found out that regarding the penalty situation between Saka and Gyökeres, it says here that Gyökeres will be the penalty taker for Arsenal this season, confirmed by D. Christopherson, and basically this is an account, right, who I think scrolling down here you'll see leaked the news. Right, the journalist that broke the news that Gyökeres to Arsenal was very close before all the bigger ones, and he knows his stuff. So based on what FPL Cal is saying, at least this is a pretty reliable source. And in fact, in the article, what it says down here is Gyökeres becomes the penalty taker. He took the number 14 for Arsenal, same number Thierry Henry once had, and that was also selected as penalty taker for the club for the upcoming season. So overall, it seems as if the decision, right, he says here, was made ahead of the season, and it also means two things. So in terms of attacking returns wise, Gyökeres has penalties, at least based off what we're seeing here. And conversely as well, it does make Saka a little bit worse of an asset, because I saw a bit of stats going on around Twitter that 24% of Saka's points last season came from penalties. So this is going to hurt Saka, but it will help Gyökeres as well. So overall, as we'll talk about the Arsenal picks later on, there's a reason why I've still chosen to go for both of them, right? But this is with regards to the penalty situation. And lastly, I wanted to take a look at the Rob T graphics. Now, obviously, please go over and follow RobT_FPL. He is someone that puts up really, really good graphics on Twitter. Lots of great stats, as well as projected goals, clean sheets that you see here that are basically spread X. So it's market odds here. And I like to use it as a bit of a gauge on what's likely going to happen. So looking at the projected goals, you'll see Arsenal here still very firmly in among the top for projected goals against Leeds here at the Emirates. 2.5 goals projected for Arsenal, which is the highest here. And in fact, clean sheet odds as well is really great for them. 46%, highest out of everyone. And that's kind of the reason why I still want to cover triple Arsenal in terms of Gabriel, Saka and Gyökeres, as you saw just now, to capitalize on the goals, but also the clean sheet odds here. But right below Arsenal, you'll see that Chelsea is on 36%, and that's also why I've chosen to go for double Chelsea defense in Cucurella and also Sanchez. I think clean sheet odds are very good for Chelsea, but then you'll also see here that there's a bit of an attacking threat that is pretty good for Chelsea here, 1.95. Cucurella is someone very capable of getting attacking returns. Am I afraid that I don't have Palmer and also João Pedro? I think Palmer didn't play that well in the first game, so I'm not too afraid, and he's quite expensive, so I don't think he justifies this 10.5, at least for this game week in my free hit. But also that João Pedro shares minutes with Liam Delap, and we knew that was going to happen, so I'm not too afraid not having either of them in the draft. Now, to kind of speak about Man City here, who are second on projected goals here at 2.35, I think this is where you see Erling Haaland is the reason in my team. He's nailed for 90 minutes. He's also definitely on penalties, and that's different from Saka, where Saka is also nailed for 90 minutes, but I can't guarantee, as we saw just now, Gyökeres is likely to be the penalty taker. So for now, Haaland is my captain. Now, in terms of some other odds that I just wanted to point it out here, Bournemouth at 1.90, pretty high in terms of their expected goals against Wolves, and then Aston Villa as well against Brentford, and this is where I needed Morgan Rogers as a bit of a cover if I don't have Ollie Watkins. And then when you look at the clean sheet odds, lastly, what I wanted to point out was for Munoz at 31% here. Crystal Palace do have quite a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet, despite Nottingham Forest scoring 3 goals against Brentford in Game Week 1. So with this kind of a context, let's jump back over to my Game Week 2 free hit draft. So coming back to the draft now, speaking about my Arsenal triple up first in Gabriel, Saka and Gyökeres, I think it helps me to just cover a good balance of the highest clean sheet odds for Arsenal with Gabriel here as my coverage, and also very good set piece threat from headers. And then there's Saka and Gyökeres. I mean, whoever takes penalties, we'll figure it out if it happens in Game Week 2. If it's likely still Gyökeres based on what FPL Cal is saying, at least I still have him in the team. And minutes now are a little bit better given that Kai Havertz is out. Saka definitely nailed for 90 minutes, so I think regardless, him against Leeds, I think I could see some returns there. Now, aside from that, Chelsea players now, I have Sanchez and Cucurella again as my double Chelsea defense that I spoke about. I'm happy enough to cover the defense and just forgo the attack in Cole Palmer and João Pedro, namely because Cole Palmer, I think, comparing to Saka at a similar price point, I prefer Saka against Leeds. And then there's also João Pedro 7.5 that I'm foregoing, but Evan Nielsen played 90 minutes in game week 1 and he's likely going to also play 90 minutes in game week 2 against Wolves. I'm happier to just go with someone who is more guaranteed for minutes. And then in center of defense here, I mean, he's not a centre back, he's a full back, or rather a wing back, but it's Munoz against Nottingham Forest at home. You saw that Crystal Palace are 31% to keep a clean sheet. I think Crystal Palace's defense overall, as we've seen against Chelsea in game week 1, is really strong. They're also not pushovers at all. But there are kind of some news going around that Eze might leave for Tottenham, and that I think in turn affects the attack. Not so much Munoz in terms of keeping a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest, but also in that there's different routes to points for Munoz. So I'm not too afraid. I'm happy enough to spend a bit more on him. In midfield, aside from Saka that we've already spoken about, Reinders enables the team really well, and if he plays again at that similar role that he did in game week 1, supporting Haaland but also a box crashing kind of a midfielder, I could see goals for him there. Semenyo and Evan Nielsen helps me to cover Bournemouth with 1.9 projected goals against Wolves, so I'm happy enough for both of them, who are also pretty guaranteed for minutes here, and Semenyo coming off good form. I think there could be returns. Rodgers, with no Watkins, he helps me to cover the Aston Villa attack. Up front, Haaland captain because he's good for 90 minutes. Man City are on a bit of a good run. Against Tottenham here, generally Spurs versus Man City happens to have lots of goals. We'll see now. I mean, obviously, Ange is not the one coaching Tottenham anymore, so we could see Thomas Frank adopt a bit more of a pragmatic approach where they sit back a little bit more. But generally, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it will still be quite an open game and Haaland could profit from there just like he did in game week 1. Now, just lastly, in terms of bench cover, Dubravka, Anderson, Dorgu and Estev. Dubravka and Estev are basically just the cheapest players at their own, keeper as well as defender category. Estev at 4.0, Dubravka also at 4.0, and they have a decent fixture in Sunderland, but I don't think I'll use them at all. I think my starting 11 players are good enough. And then there's Anderson 5.5 just as a cover. He did very well in game week 1. You saw he got an assist and also was very close to DEFCON points as well. He's 5.5 on my bench against Crystal Palace. And then there's Dorgu against Fulham 4.5. He actually pulled off a really, really good shot against Arsenal. Almost scored, hit the post as well. So it beat Raya already, but just couldn't find his way to the back of the net. But Dorgu is looking pretty promising. I think he's a player I could look at moving forward once Manchester United's fixtures start to turn good, but at least for the purpose of the free hit, he's on the bench. So there we go with my game week 2 free hit draft, and this is, I think 95% what I'm going to go with. If there's any changes, I'll make it on the deadline stream, 3 hours before the deadline as always. Hope to see some of you guys there. If not, there's also, just before you end the video, there's also above me here, you'll see a QR code that you can scan to join my free FPL group chat, where I do post a bit more content there as well. For those of you who are interested, there's audio content, there's also video content, just a bit more of a relaxed style of content that allows me to give you guys live updates of my team as and when we receive news, such as this Kai Havertz injury, for example. So there you go for Game Week 2. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And let me know in the comments down below, please, what you think of this new format of videos. And I will see you guys on the deadline stream. Bye-bye.